There's a silent battle happening in the lives of so many young men today, a battle no one talks about openly, but one that is draining their strength, their confidence, and their future. It happens in the quiet of the night, in the secrecy of locked doors, and behind the glow of a phone screen. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You see, every time you give in, every time you choose your fingers over facing the real world, you're teaching yourself to run from life instead of living it. You're training your mind to accept instant pleasure instead of long-term fulfillment. And slowly, without even noticing, your soul is being robbed of its fire. I want you to understand something today. This isn't just about what you're doing with your body. It's about who you're becoming as a man. Because when you rely on that escape, you're not only numbing your desires, you're silencing your potential. You're trading real connection, real intimacy, and real confidence for an illusion. But here's the truth. You are more powerful than your urges. You were built to conquer challenges, not be conquered by them. This message isn't here to shame you. It's here to wake you up. Because once you break free, once you stop using your fingers to escape reality, you'll finally step into the life you were meant to live. You think you're in control. That's what your mind whispers every time you give in. You tell yourself, I can stop anytime I want. This doesn't own me. It's just stress relief. Just one more time and I'll quit. But let's be real. You've been saying that for weeks, months, maybe even years. And yet, here you are, still caught in the same cycle, still reaching for the same escape. The truth is, control is the biggest illusion this habit sells you. It tricks you into believing you're the master, when in reality, you're the slave. You don't decide when the urge shows up, it decides for you. At night when you're bored, in the morning when you're anxious, on those lonely weekends when no one calls. That's not freedom. That's a chain. And the worst part, that little voice in your head convinces you it's harmless. But think about how many hours you've lost. Think about how many times you've said no to opportunities, no to growth, no to real women, because you'd already said yes to your fingers. Slowly, your energy is drained, your confidence slips away, and the man inside you, who once had ambition, begins to shrink. Control is not about being able to stop for a day or two. Real control is when you no longer need it, when you're free from the shame, the secrecy, the hidden addiction. When you can look at yourself in the mirror and know you're not being run by your impulses. Let me tell you something powerful. The moment you admit you're not in control, that's when you actually begin to take it back. Because denial keeps you weak, but truth makes you strong. And once you decide to face that truth, you'll start seeing this habit for what it really is. Not a harmless release, but a thief stealing your focus, your masculinity, and your future. You were not designed to live under the command of your urges. You were designed to lead, to conquer, to build. So stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending this is just a small habit. It's not. It's a test of your manhood. And until you pass it, you'll never know the power that's waiting for you on the other side. There's a reason why after the high fades, you feel that hollow emptiness inside. In the moment, it feels good. Your brain lights up, your body relaxes, and for a brief second, you believe you found relief. But then reality crashes in. The screen goes dark. The silence of your room feels louder than ever. And what's left? Shame, guilt, emptiness. That's the trapped temporary pleasure that takes more than it gives. It feels like it fills you, but it actually drains you. Think about it. How many times have you walked away from that moment feeling stronger, feeling proud, feeling motivated to take on the world? You don't. Instead, you feel weaker, more disconnected, and somehow even lonelier than before. And here's the dangerous part: your brain starts to confuse that cycle with real intimacy. It begins to think that pixels on a screen or a moment with yourself is the same thing as love, connection, or passion. But deep down you know it's not, because real pleasure, the kind that comes from holding a woman's hand, from earning her respect, from feeling her trust, that doesn't leave you empty. That fills your soul. It energizes you. It makes you want to become more. But when you keep settling for the fake, you rob yourself of the real. You rob yourself of the chance to grow into the man who can actually create meaningful connection. You train yourself to be satisfied with shadows instead of substance. And over time, You lose the very hunger that pushes men to chase greatness. Here's the truth: real pleasure costs effort. It demands that you step out of your comfort zone, that you risk rejection, that you work on yourself to attract what you desire. But that effort, that sweat, that vulnerability, that's what makes it valuable. Because what you work for, you respect. And what you respect, you never take for granted. So ask yourself, do you want to keep chasing a pleasure that empties you? Or are you ready to fight for a pleasure that fills you? The kind that builds you up, not tears you down. The kind that makes you stronger, not weaker. Because men who choose the real over the fake are the men who rise. They are the ones who lead. They are the ones who live full, not empty. Right now, your mind is trained for shortcuts. It's wired to seek the easiest hit of dopamine. The quick scroll, the easy escape, the instant pleasure that takes no effort but costs everything. Every time you give in, you're reinforcing that circuit, making it stronger, making it automatic. That's why it feels like you can't stop. It's not because you're weak. It's because your brain has been conditioned to expect it. But here's the beauty of the human mind: it can be rewired. It's not fixed. Your desires are not set in stone. The same way you've trained yourself into weakness, you can train yourself into strength. And it starts with awareness. It starts with refusing to let your urges decide your future. Think about it this way: if you feed your brain junk, it craves junk. But if you feed it discipline, progress, and purpose, it begins to crave that instead. Imagine this: every time the urge hits, instead of giving in, you channel that energy into something that makes you proud. Push-ups, writing your goals, building your business, reading a book. The first few times it feels impossible. Your mind screams at you, demanding the old fix. But each time you resist, each time you redirect, you're rewiring. You're carving a new path. And slowly, something incredible happens. You stop craving what weakens you, and you start craving what strengthens you. That's how greatness is built. Not in grand moments, but in small, repeated choices that reshape who you are. Ask yourself, what do you really want to desire? Do you want to desire the glow of a screen, or the glow of a woman who actually respects you? Do you want to crave 10 minutes of emptiness, or a lifetime of purpose, legacy, and respect? Rewiring isn't easy. It takes discipline. It takes patience. But every rep you put in, every urge you overcome, every night you go to bed proud instead of ashamed, you are literally sculpting your brain into the brain of a stronger man. Don't just break the cycle. Replace it. Redirect it. Rewire it. Because when your desires change, your destiny changes. And that's when you stop being controlled by your urges and start being guided by your vision. One of the heaviest burdens a man can carry is the kind no one sees. You wake up, you smile, you go about your day, cracking jokes with friends, handling work, even posting pictures that say, "I'm doing fine." But deep down, you know you're not. There's a shadow that follows you. A secret weight pressing on your chest every night. A shame that lingers every morning when you look in the mirror. This habit doesn't just rob you of time, it robs you of dignity. It plants a quiet voice in your head whispering, "You're not enough. You're weak. You'll never break free." And because no one else knows, you carry it alone. You hide it, thinking that if people saw the truth, they'd see less of you. So you bury it. You laugh louder, you distract yourself, you act strong. But inside, the shame grows heavier. Here's the truth: secrecy is the fuel of shame. The more you hide, the stronger it gets. That's why it feels impossible to escape. Not because you don't have the power, but because you've locked yourself in a prison of silence. But listen closely: shame only has power when it's hidden. The moment you shine light on it, it begins to lose its grip. That doesn't mean broadcasting your struggles to the world. It means being honest with yourself first, and maybe with one trusted person who can hold you accountable. It means admitting, "I'm carrying this weight, and I'm tired of it. I want to put it down." Freedom begins with honesty. The man who can face his own truth, no matter how ugly it feels, is the man who becomes unbreakable. Because once you've stared your weakness in the face and chosen to fight it, there's nothing left to hide. You walk taller, you speak clearer, and your confidence is real. Not because you're perfect, but because you're authentic. Don't underestimate how much shame has been holding you back. It's been stealing your energy, your courage, and your belief in yourself. But the moment you drop it, the moment you stop hiding, you'll feel lighter. You'll feel stronger. And for the first time in a long time, you'll feel free. Confidence is not about talking louder. It's not about flexing your muscles or wearing designer clothes. It's not even about how many women you can attract. Real confidence is deeper. It's spiritual. It's the quiet power that comes from knowing you are in control of yourself. And nothing builds that kind of confidence more than discipline. Think about it. When you give in to your urges, you feel drained. You feel weak, ashamed, uncertain. And whether you realize it or not, that energy leaks out into the world. Women sense it. People sense it. They can't put their finger on it, but they can feel when a man doesn't have control over himself. He looks restless. He acts insecure. He talks like he's strong, but deep inside he knows he's not. Now picture the opposite. A man who has conquered himself. A man who has looked his urges in the face and said, "You don't own me." That man doesn't need to raise his voice to command respect. His presence does it for him. His discipline radiates. His energy is steady, unshakable. And women notice, not because of what he says, but because of who he is. Discipline is the foundation of masculinity. It is the proof that you can lead yourself, and therefore you can lead others. Without discipline, your confidence is fake. It's just a mask. But with discipline, your confidence is unshakable because it's rooted in reality. Every time you resist the easy path, every time you say no to your fingers and yes to your future, you're building that foundation. Brick by brick, day by day. You may not see it immediately, but slowly your body language changes. Your eye contact sharpens. Your handshake strengthens. You begin to carry yourself differently. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you finally respect yourself. And here's the beautiful truth. When you respect yourself, the world reflects it back to you. People treat you differently. Women see you differently. Opportunities find you, not because you're chasing them, but because you've become the kind of man who attracts them. So remember this: real confidence is not a performance. It's discipline made visible. At the end of the day, this isn't just about quitting a habit. It's about creating a life so fulfilling, so purposeful, that you don't even feel the need to run from it. Because here's the truth: when a man's life feels empty, he will always search for an escape. And if he doesn't build something worth living for, he'll settle for the cheap illusions that keep him stuck. Ask yourself honestly, why do you keep reaching for the screen, for your fingers, for that temporary release? It's because there's a void. Maybe it's loneliness. Maybe it's lack of direction. Maybe it's the fear of facing your true potential. Whatever it is, you've been filling that gap with something that doesn't last. But imagine this instead: waking up with energy because you have goals that excite you. Walking into the gym not just to work out, but to sculpt a stronger version of yourself. Building a business, a career, a mission that lights you up inside. Spending time with real people, creating memories, building bonds, chasing experiences that make your heart beat faster. That is the kind of life no man wants to escape from. It won't happen overnight. Building takes time. But every brick you lay, whether it's mastering your craft, improving your health, deepening your faith, or working on your character, becomes part of a foundation that cannot be shaken. When you live a life filled with meaning, urges lose their power. Why? Because you finally have something greater to fight for. You realize that 10 minutes of fake pleasure can't compare to the satisfaction of building real success, real intimacy, real purpose. And here's the secret, women, friends: opportunities. They are drawn to men who are building. Not perfect men, but men on a mission. When you create a life of passion and direction, you stop chasing and start attracting. So don't just focus on what you're quitting. Focus on what you're building. Craft a life so rich, so fulfilling, that when the old urges come knocking, you can laugh and say, "I don't need you anymore. I've got better things to live for." That is freedom. That is power. That is the life you were meant to live.